Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Goodness. Old is gold. Or should old make way for the young? Can people in the political sphere can ever be told old to lead? Our aging politicians are going to get more common. Let's start with the obvious. Significant number of leading politicians around the world are older. The possibility of an octogenarian aged between 80 to 89 or spectogenarian aged between 70 to 79 politicians securing political powers such as the presidential or the prime ministerial tickets is worrying to many around the world. So what is essential for a political leadership? Decision making is an essential component of executive function and a critical skill of political leadership. It is well known that the decision making process results from communication between the prefrontal cortex, the working memory, and hippocampus, the long-term memory, along with number of other sub-processes. Now, I would like you to come along with me on a journey to get onto the most politically heated up country in the world at the moment, which is United States. The current President Biden is 81, more than twice as old as the median American. Presidential candidate for 2024, 77-year-old Trump is more than a decade beyond the normal retirement age, the age at which Americans can receive their full retirement benefits. At the initial 2024 election campaign, the age of both candidates has come under scrutiny like no other presidential race ever before. So when asked, Biden preferred to focus on his long career in politics and the experience this gave him. Trump, by contrast, pointed to his cognitive capabilities and his prowess on the golf course. The presidential debate in June, Biden and his team tried to play off the debate performances as a bad night. He and his aide blamed the president's overseas trip. He said he would debate again and do better. I know I'm not a young man. I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth, Biden said. Later, just before Biden announced that he was stepping aside and endorsing his Vice President Kamala Harris to lead the party's ticket, Joe Biden's supporter, Senator Joe Manchin, went to the media and said this. He said, he will go down with a legacy unlike many people as one of the finest and truly American, Manchin said. So with that, I come with a heavy heart to think the time has come for him to pass the torch to a new generation. So the Freedom House rates people's access to political rights and civil liberties in about 210 countries and territories. According to them, countries that are classified as free by the Freedom House tend to have older leaders. In Republic of Cameroon, the oldest national leader is President Paul Biya. He was born in 1933 and took office more than 40 years ago in the only current national leader in his 90s. In Bangladesh, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina of Bangladesh is the oldest female leader at 76. In Sri Lanka, the current president Ranil Wickremesinghe is 75 years old. Wickremesinghe, a six-time former prime minister, was backed by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna party of outed leader Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who fled abroad and resigned later after protesters overrun his palace. Aside from how he came into power and his affiliation with Rajapakshas, he lashed out in a number of interviews, as some say it may be also him aging and not being able to cope with the pressure of politics. So Sri Lanka's President Ranil Wickremesinghe lashed out during an interview with Deutsche Welle when asked for a response to serious concern raised by Channel 4 documentary on the Easter Sunday bombings and the need for an international investigation. Documentary alleged that senior Sri Lankan government and the military figures played a role in the 2019 Easter Sunday bombings, which killed over 250 people. When questioned on this documentary, Sri Lanka's president said, criticized the interview for raising question and maintained that there would be a parliament investigation into the matter. You take a piece of paper from Cardinal and you're holding it over me? Have you spoken to the Bishops' Conference? You have no right to ask me this question, Wickremesinghe maintained. He further attacked the interviewer of trying to corner him. Wickremesinghe slammed the protest of an international investigation, claiming that the Sri Lankan government does not have international and need international investigations. Now here it's getting even interesting. Now remember the famous "shut up and sit down." President Ranil Wickremesinghe told an opposition MPs in parliament, "Shut up and sit down. I brought you into politics," when they attempted to express their views on a speech he made. In this instance, the president was not able to hold a political debate, rather shutting off the opposition. Is this an effect of aging or simply not being able to connect with the current citizens? Apart from discussions of the societies governed by older people are typically not representative of the population, there are other concerns with this. One key focus is mental fitness. Neuroscience and psychology suggest that cognitive performance varies widely as people grow older, making it tricky to determine whether someone can be too old to lead. And while some skills tend to decline with age, others improve. Some super agers even possess the mental acuity of people many decades younger than themselves. And how old is too old to lead? Or is that a wrong question? So now, does aging affect the brain? So do you think aging does affect the brain? Well, I was curious as you, so here it is. As a person gets older, changes occur in all parts of the body, including the brain. The prefrontal cortex is the region of the brain with the most age-related volume loss. It roughly loses about 5% per decade. Though its connection to other parts of the brain, it helps manage executive function, a complex set of mental processes, right? It's key to discussions of leadership capacities because it's involved in areas like problem solving, goal setting, and impulse control. Executive function declines gradually during a person's 30s, and this accelerates as we enter our 70s. Executive dysfunction can show up in reduced impulse control and increased repetition of thoughts and behaviors. According to the World Economic Forum, on the role of politicians' age in the governance and re-election rates, etc., this is what they have discovered. There are a number of reasons why age may matter. The younger politicians have a potentially longer political career ahead of them and may be more subject to career concerns. Younger politicians have a different time horizon and discount rate compared to other ones or the older ones and might favor more long-term policies. Younger politicians may be more energetic and hence more productive at work. Evaluating empirically the causal effect of age on policies is tricky. Comparing the choices of politicians of different ages would not allow to identify a particular interest because many other personal characteristics, both observable and unobservable, are correlated with the age of the politician. So, however, it's not all that bad news. There are some aspects where older brains actually show better performance, yes? While the ability to take in information declines much earlier, the ability to direct and act on information can improve well into a person's 70s. So while 70-olds will probably process new information more slowly than the 30-year-olds, they may do better at synthesizing it. Various studies also show 60-year-olds typically have better vocabulary than the 20-year-olds and can thus substitute words better. What happens with older brains is that they get better at what is called crystallized intelligence, explains Rose McDermott, who specializes in political psychology in Brown's University. You have these kinds of established schemas and ways of thinking about things, and you are able to integrate new information into existing structures much more readily and in many cases creatively than you can when you are younger because you don't sit on the same degree of knowledge base. Physical activity, mental stimulation, and social connection are all important to preserving brain tissue and brain function. Political leadership certainly provides at least the mental challenge and social connection parts. And powerful people are more likely to have many privileges, including financial security and access to excellent healthcare. So where are the youth in politics? In fact, there are only few countries which have younger political leaders leading the nation. Let's look at some of the examples. At 35 years, Gabriel Attal, currently the head of the caretaker government in France, and recently resigned from his post as a Prime Minister of France. And at age 36, Traoré is currently the second youngest serving state leader in the world and the youngest serving president. And age 36, Daniel Noboa is the president of Ecuador, to name a few. So how do we bridge the generation gap between the participation of old and young in politics? The political system to be representative all parts of society and must be inclusive. When young people are de-enfranchised and disengaged from political processes, a significant portion of the population has little or no voice or influence in decisions that affect group members' lives. A key consequence is undermining of political system and its representatives. To make the difference in a longer term, it is essential that young people are engaged in formal political processes and have a say in formulating today and tomorrow's politics. Inclusive political participation is not only a fundamental political and democratic right, but also is crucial to building a stable and a peaceful societies and developing policies that respond to the specific needs of younger generation. For young people to be adequately represented in political institutions, processes, and decision making, and in particular in election, they must know their rights and be given necessary knowledge and capacity to participate in a meaningful way at all levels. So when there are obstacles, when there are obstacles to participating in formal, institutionalized political processes, young people can rapidly feel disempowered. Many tend to believe that their voices are not going to be heard or that they will not be taken seriously even if they are heard. The problem becomes circular as politicians may lose interest in responding to the aspiration of the young people if they cannot win their votes. This in turn leads to young people being increasingly excluded from taking part in the decision making or in debates about key socio-economic and political issues. Despite their sensitivity to the demands for social equity and justice, environmental protection and cultural diversity, in new and emerging democracies, the inclusion of young people in formal political process is important from the start. While in the past, political engagement of citizens was mainly channeled through activism in political parties, the last decade has shown that the political parties are facing difficulties in attracting new party members and in particular young people. Globally, youth participation and representation in institutional political processes and policy making is relatively low. People under the age of 35 are rarely found in parliaments, public administration and decision-making bodies such as committees on peace building and constitution building. In 1/3 of countries, eligibility for a national parliament starts at 25 years or higher, mostly 45 and above, even when the voting age is 18 years of age. Eligibility to be the candidate is often higher. See, the lowering the age of the eligibility to run for the office would be far better, I think. Alternatively, sharpening the entry point for youth to enter parliament would be a way to attract them into parliament. Apart from youth directly being represented in parliament, there are several other entry points for increasing their access to the legislature. Parliaments often engage with civil societies through committee hearings. Specific parliamentary committees and multi-party groups either focused on youth or deliberating issues impacting youth could conduct public consultation and invite youth CSOs to share their views. UNDP's parliamentary development strategy highlights supports for these kind of activities. I just wanted to take you through some of the alternatives that certain countries have explored to keep the youth engaged. In Jamaica, youth organization founded a National Youth Parliamentary Watch Committee in 2009, endorsed by the Minister for Youth. The committee is charged with reviewing all bills and policies before Parliament, and critically evaluating them for the youth mainstream objectives. The Turkish National Assembly has recently established a child rights monitoring committee, including a website supported by UNICEF. Another example that was quite interesting as well, in Germany, a youth-led initiative, Parliament Watch, enables ordinary citizens to scrutinize their members of parliament by asking questions and assessing information about voting behavior. So the last example is in Egypt. After the fall of the Mubarak government, young people put up projectors in the public places and displayed videos of human rights violations. This initiative proved an effective way of sharing information that might otherwise be available only on the internet. So, new era of politics need to look at answering some of these questions very, very carefully. New era of politics need to look at answering some of the serious questions and taking into some of the comments and research output that has come out. Sharpening the entry point for youth to enter parliament. Hold on to experience of older politicians in an advisory capacity, or simply letting them go to release all baggages and grudges and disharmony. Is that the best way to redefine the future? All of these questions and many more will define the new era of politics. With that, I will leave you today. Until the next episode, please look after yourself and have a great week. Thank you.